With us coming off of the great open world that Spider-Man PS4 brought us, we still have more to look forward to in this year in gaming. And I am talking about a specific open world game in October, and I'm not talking about the one you're thinking. Yep, nope, not Red Dead 2, I'm talking about Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And with them coming off of the hit game Origins last year, which I adored, I want to go over a few things that Origins did great or did good on, and I want them to do better here in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So what is going on, guys? It is your boy Tickety123 here, and today we're going to go over the top 5 things that I think Odyssey needs to do better on, or just keep that consistent feel from Origins. So the reason why Origins was such a great thing for the Assassin's Creed brand and the Assassin's Creed franchise as a whole was that Origins brought a little bit more RPG into it, and it looks like they're going to be, of course, sticking with that type of model, with Odyssey having a lot of RPG elements and straight up being a full-on RPG game in layman's terms. And of course, with any major RPG, there is bound to be, of course, a upgrade system and everything to the game as well, because that's pretty much core to any major RPG game. And so with Assassin's Creed Origins from last year, there was, of course, an upgrade system. There was, of course, skill trees and upgrading your weapons and all the good stuff that comes with the upgrade system in a RPG game. However, I would like them to be a little bit more forward and make me just utilize them a little bit more and maybe have a more thoughtful process to upgrading, because a lot of times in Origins I would just see an upgrade and just do it and not really understand and not really be mindful of the implications that come with that upgrade. And now, don't get me wrong, there were plenty of good upgrades within Assassin's Creed Origins that really helped you out in game, like for example being able to call your camel back to you wherever you were at and stuff like that. And so definitely there were a lot of good and useful upgrades that were more ease of life for the game as well. But I'm hoping that with Odyssey we have a little bit more of a better upgrade system that really entices me to want to go for these upgrades and these skill tree abilities. And I feel like in a lot of ways I had the same issue with God of War this year on the PS4. With my upgrade system being towards Atreus, I really didn't pay it that much close attention to the actual upgrade system with Atreus. I didn't really take into account how that might be effective as a player to me when I did the upgrade for Atreus. And so of course these complaints could be just me and me just really just sitting down and really, you know, just investing more thought into the upgrades rather than me just doing the upgrades just because it's available. And so I feel like the game could do a little bit of a better job at making me go for these upgrades and making me use them as well in the game. Next up here is of course refining that combat. So at least for me personally, I adored the Origins combat. It was very nice and methodical, fun to do as well. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And by the way the combat's looking in Odyssey, it looks like they're going to be definitely keeping that same base that they laid out in Origins. However, of course, adding on to it as well with this new game, with there being more, I feel, difference in the variety of ways that you can go about defeating an enemy, and different contextual differences as well, and different reactions to you as a player as well, whether you think of it or it's just done automatically by the character you play as well. So for me, really not much to say about combat other than that I would hope that they keep what they have in Origins and just add on to it and make it even better, and it looks like they will be doing that here with Odyssey. Next up here for number 3, we have the open world. So the Origins map was huge. It was a very massive map, and it was even more shocking when you open up the full map and really got to see the scope of how big the areas were and how big the whole map was. It is insane how big that game is, and Odyssey is reportedly going to be 62% bigger than Origins, which I can't even fathom. I don't know how they're doing it, but they are doing it. But also, for transparency's sake, a large part of the new areas of the map to explore in the game will be used up by waterways that were very integral to the setting in this game. And so to be fair, that is still 62% of more area to be able to explore and conquer and have new elements and new things in the game as well with that new area. But I do hope that the world is filled with a ton to see and explore, as Origins was as well. But I do hope those new areas that they're adding and the more space you're adding to the map, I hope that it is also useful and just more thoughtful stuff in the map. Because to be frank, although Origins was filled with a bunch of different stuff, different environments, different biomes at that, and really just cool settings as well throughout the whole map, there were a lot of spaces to me that felt very similar and a lot of reused assets and stuff like that, and they just felt like definitely sometimes just copy paste of different cities, just maybe like tweak a little bit here and there. And of course, this game is open world, this game is massive, and of course course it would be a little bit off-putting to ask Ubisoft to make every single city and every single place and every single thing in this map be unique and dynamic and all that good stuff. And so obviously taking into account that of course it is a massive game, it is hard to make all of these individual environments as unique as possible, and of course it will be, be having to reuse some assets here and there and stuff like that. But I do hope that, with all that, I hope that we still have improvements to areas and make them look a little bit more unique in their own way. Next up here, let's go over the story of the game as well as some hit characters that will be hopefully good in this new game in Odyssey. So in Origins, we had our main protagonist Bayek, and Bayek to me was amazing. Bayek was such a good character. He was super fun to play as, had great dialogue lines. He was very dynamic in the sense that like he was very, very brutal when it comes to combat, when it comes to people that he needed to murk, as well as be just nice and just a good role model to the kids as well in the game as well. So overall, Bayek, which is a very, very well-rounded character, I have praised him a ton in the past and will continue to do so into the future because Bayek was amazing. And so while of course we have our two new characters, Cassandra or Alexios, depending on which one you pick in the beginning of the game, I just hope that they are as enjoyable to play as Bayek was, because Bayek to me was like the pinnacle, the top-notch assassin, and so I hope that these other two will be just as good as well, or hopefully close to it. And it looks like they will be aiming for that as well, because at least with Cassandra, with her different dialogue that she said before that we've seen in trailers and gameplays and everything, she seems very witty, funny, full of personality and charismatic and everything, stuff like that. So I feel like she'll be very, very fun to play as well. I'm going to play with Alexios for my first playthrough, and I think Christian is going to do Cassandra, so I think we're going to then go back and compare and contrast. So I'm hoping that my boy Alexios over here has a similar type of vibe to Bayek as well, with him being just a fun person to control and to get the full story of while we go through the game. And from what we know so far about the game story, about its main kind of theme being about the limits of being freedom and being secure, or more just better put, freedom versus order from the terms of the major theme of the game. And so it looks like they can do a lot with that theme in mind when it comes to the story as a overall standpoint. And it looks like with the rotating cast of characters like Socrates being in the game as well, it looks like there will be plenty to do and plenty to kind of have a nice story going on in the game. And I think where we'll see probably the best examples of the story being more fleshed out and being more detailed will become with the agency that this game will give you. So you can lie to people in this game, you can flirt with people, and you can even have like a little debate with Socrates as well, who of course he is a big philosopher, and he was known to be very annoying in that sense, and very much be kind of like a person that just chatters and likes to kind of poke holes in your arguments and make you kind of have a weaker view of what you feel is your main standpoint in a lot of ways. And so I feel like with that being said, with all those different ways that we can have those branching dialogue trees and stuff like that as well, we can probably get into a lot more nitty-gritty details that will overall make the story and make the overall world and character base feel a little bit more better in terms of that way. And I think the last thing here I want to bring up, probably the biggest main point that I'm hoping for this game, is the quality of the game from a more technical standpoint here. So of course we had Origins last year. Origins to me, I ran on the base PS4. It felt okay. There were a lot of framing issues. There's a lot of stuttering in the game, a little bit glitches here and there, but overall I think my kind of biggest complaints from a technical standpoint really come from the frame rate and everything and stuff like that. And so of course I was running on a base PS4. This year I have a Pro, so I think I will obviously see a major difference in the game and overall a more technical quality, more sane game on a Pro, of course. But that's not at all what is my main point when I mean by quality of the game. And what I mean by that is that Origins developing stages started in 2014, right? So when the game came out in 2017, that gave them a 3-year span to create Origins, which in itself is crazy. But of course, if you are very much knowing of Ubisoft and how they work, they actually split up the Origins map into 3 different areas, and they had totally different teams from, I think Ubisoft Sofia was one of them, and other just Ubisoft support studios that were involved in making the other parts of the map to then come together and make the full map of Origins as we know it. And so one would assume that this was mainly done, of course, with the assistance of Origins having a year in between. So in 2016 we did not get a Assassin's Creed game at all, you know what I'm saying, and that was for the development of Origins to kind of ramp up, and I assume for further polish and everything, so that Origins was as good as it was when it first came out. So with Odyssey getting the news that it was coming out the following year, this year in 2018, right after 2017's Origins release, I'm a little bit hesitant that I really hope that they still gave that much time and care and credence to Odyssey as well as they did with Origins. And so that's where my main kind of holdup is right now, where I'm, you know, kind of a little bit scared at, you know, potentially Odyssey could feel a little bit rushed and could feel a little bit like they haven't had a lot of time to work on it. But I've been hearing a lot of things and seeing a lot of like Reddit posts and everything and stuff like that, and I really can't find a concrete, you know, confirm that this is true. But apparently Odyssey has been worked on since they started Origins. Like, it's been worked on for a very, very long time, and obviously it has been like you know, like they you know, definitely didn't make Odyssey in a year's time. Of course, that is just ridiculous to even think, but I am hoping that even though they don't have that year gap in between Origins and Odyssey, I really hope that Odyssey still has a level of quality that is still comparable to what Origins had, you know, and that is with Origins, of course, having a weird frame rate on the PS4, and I mainly just attribute that to my base PS4 being the main culprit, because the PS4, you know, been out since 2013. It's really showing its age. I'd say on the base PS4 side, the Pro is great. Definitely get the Pro if you are wanting your games to run that top notch and run that top frame rates and everything, stuff like that. But you know, of course, I feel like I probably won't have that issue now going forward with me buying a Pro and Odyssey on the way. So I'm really hoping that just to wrap this up in a little bow, I really hope that Odyssey still has that same level of polish and quality as Origins did. And really, you know, without any info about the development time of Odyssey, it's just my main concern is just that there isn't a year gap between Origins and Odyssey, the same year gap that Origins got for when it was coming up on release. And so that's kind of like the main focal point with that one. So that has been my top 5 things I would like to see Odyssey do better than Origins, or keep consistently. You know, if it's not broke, don't fix it, for the things that were, you know, good in the Origins. But with all that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are you guys excited for Odyssey? Do you guys want to play it? Are you gonna buy it? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below about Odyssey. Did you enjoy Origins as well? And what other aspects of Origins would you like to see in Odyssey that I didn't bring up in this video? I want to know all your thoughts down in the comments below. And make sure also, while you are down there, to check out our description where you can find the Instagram and Twitter to follow us on there. Make sure to also leave a like if you enjoyed it, as well as stay subscribed to PlayStation Source to keep up with the latest and greatest in PlayStation. Thank you for watching, and as always, greatness awaits.